I wasn't expecting balloons. 40 is only a big deal if you're selling greeting cards. We had takeout, 2 candles from a drawer, and a bouquet delivered by someone who called me Sir and my wife Sweetheart. When the plates were cleared, she smiled the way people do right before they confess or lie. She handed me a cream envelope. Heavy paper, our address at the top. I opened it and read the first line 3 times just to be sure. Notice to vacate. 30 days. At the bottom, beside a notary stamp I'd never seen, was my name, my handwriting, but not my hand. I looked up. She was already watching my face. "Don't make this ugly," she said. "We agreed." We agreed. I folded the paper back into the envelope like it might shatter and said nothing. The room was too quiet. The TV in the den was still paused on a home renovation show where couples fight over tile. I put the envelope in my jacket. "Say something," she prodded. I stood, kissed my son on the head and said, "I will." I slept in my van that night. Not because I had to, but because I needed the kind of silence you only get in a parking lot at 2 a.m. I fix things for a living. Water heaters, drywall. Once, a hand-carved crib whose leg had split straight down the grain. You learn to listen before you touch anything. At dawn, I drove to the county clerk's office. Public records are like basements. You don't want to go down there, but everything important runs through it. The clerk slid me copies of a marital separation agreement and a quitclaim deed draft, both with my signature. She tapped the stamp. "Looks in order." It did, except my middle name was misspelled on one form, and whoever forged me forgot. I looped the tail on my Y. I called a lawyer, a real one, not a billboard. He told me to breathe, file a police report for suspected forgery, and get a document examiner. "No fireworks," he said. "Paper cuts are deadlier." I wrote a list on a diner napkin. Freeze my credit. Change bank passwords. Download statements. Photograph everything I purchased for the house. Call the notary whose stamp was on that envelope. Hire an examiner. Say nothing. Silence can be loud if you hold it long enough. The examiner called 2 days later. "Preliminary. Those signatures aren't yours." He wanted originals, not scans. My lawyer subpoenaed them. The notary? "Mobile," she said, voice shaking. She remembered a man bringing paperwork to a coffee shop. His wife couldn't make it, he'd said. The man? My brother-in-law, Mark. Mark sells confidence for a living. Real estate, coaching, 3 phones on the table and a laugh big enough to cover a lie. I didn't get angry. I got patient. I started noticing things you don't see when you're inside the noise. New handbags in the foyer. New watch on Mark's wrist. One of my tools missing from the garage. Every good renovation starts with demolition. We filed for an injunction to stop any transfer of the house. Then my lawyer requested bank records tied to the property. That's when the soft spots showed. A second mortgage had been taken out, 2 weeks before my birthday, secured with my consent. Payments were being routed through an LLC that didn't exist 6 months ago. I could have marched into the kitchen and unloaded. Instead, I had coffee with the bank's fraud department. I want to handle this on paper, I told them. No scenes. They love people like me. Saturday, my wife hosted a friends' night. I was invited to stay out. I stayed anyway. I grilled in the backyard while the living room filled with laughter I didn't recognize. Mark arrived late. wearing a blazer too tight across the chest. He waved like we were still brothers. He found me by the grill. "Business is business," he said, like men say after doing something unforgivable. I flipped a steak and said nothing. Listening. He talked. He always talks. About a bridge loan, about flipping this underperforming asset, about how we're all going to come out fine. The "we" didn't include me. He clapped my shoulder. No hard feelings. That night, I sent my lawyer a single line. He admitted it. No recordings, just me and a ribeye. "Good," he replied. "Let him keep talking." Fraud doesn't collapse from a punch. It pulls apart one staple at a time. The notary recanted. The examiner finished his report. Not my signature. The bank filed their own investigation to protect their mortgage. The injunction held. The LLC routing payments got flagged by the state. Mark called me 3 times. "Let's be men about this," he said on the last voicemail. Men? My wife texted, "We can fix this if you meet me halfway." Halfway between theft and honesty is still theft. I answered nobody. Every message is a nail. I was building a house with mine. Courtrooms are colder than they look on TV. Fluorescent lights, stained carpet, everyone pretending they aren't scared. The judge read, the lawyers spoke, and paper did what shouting can't. The forged signatures were tossed like rotten lumber. The second mortgage was voided. The house froze under the court's order. My wife stared at the table. Mark did the thing where he smiles at bad news like he ordered it. When it was over, my lawyer asked if I wanted to say anything. "Just one thing," I said. I turned to my wife. "The next time someone hands you a pen, ask whose life you're signing." She didn't look up. You can win and still lose a lot. The house was safe, but the marriage was over in a way that doesn't need a decree to be true. We listed it. It needed new gutters and a roof line fix we'd put off too long. Buyers came like tourists. On the day offers were due, a familiar LLC, Marks, submitted the highest number. My lawyer called me first. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Let him overpay." He did. He bought the walls he tried to steal. Then the market turned, interest rates twitched, and his bridge loan snapped. The bank scheduled an auction. I showed up in boots and a clean jacket, hands in my pockets. I bid once, through a different LLC, mine. We closed 3 weeks later for less than he'd paid. I didn't cheer. I changed the locks myself. When my wife came to pick up the last boxes, she stood in the entryway like a tourist in an old photo. "I didn't think you'd actually," she started. "You already did," I said. I handed her a small box. Inside were keys to a storage unit I'd rented and paid through the end of the year. Everything she'd asked for was there, labeled. "I don't hate you," I added. "I just rebuilt without you." She nodded once. People think closure is a speech. It's a doorknob. The house isn't mine anymore. I sold it last spring to a couple who liked the light in the kitchen. I bought a small place on a hill with a stubborn lemon tree out back. Work is better. I say no more than I used to. I drink my coffee before it goes cold. Sometimes my son comes over and we fix small things that don't need fixing just to be near each other. Mark? He went quiet after the auction. The big laugh doesn't carry as far when the room empties. People ask if I regret anything. I do. I regret not listening earlier. To myself. I knew the sound of my own name, and I ignored it until someone forged it for me. If you're in a room where the pen is always in someone else's hand, leave, before they write the ending. Was this justice, or just clean demolition? Tell me in the comments what you would have done. If this hit a nerve, like, share, and subscribe for more true-to-life stories of betrayal, collapse, and rebuilding. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed your time. Until next time, take care.